like highlight it, how it started, the first 2 weeks.
Right. Well, yeah, that's the major points.
Right, and then you're...
Yeah,
okay.
All the shit.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, fuck it. All right, so this is what happened. Then this is why we've been gone for so long, mostly.
And I'm going to throw this out there now. We did plan this like a month or two ago, but I said, yeah, I'll be there, and then never came home.
Oh, to start back up.
Yeah, so
Right.
like your problem ended probably like 2 months ago.
Well, it's still going on, but as far as starting the podcast again, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's another...
We're 3 weeks deep into the co-host not being here at the time of recording.
Hey, make your own luck.
That's right, dude. That's true. Okay, so May 16th, dude. And of course, this story starts with Adam Conway, dude. Of course.
Always, dude.
Of course it does. All right, so we're riding. May 16th was a Saturday. We're riding to Adams. And after we were done riding, you were there, Justin was there, Adam was there. It was just us, I think. 4 of us.
Maybe Corey, too.
I can't remember. But after we were riding, we were in the shop at Adam's house, and we were fucking around with this fucking gun thing, retrieval gun, he called it. It's like this gun that shoots like a 6-inch, kind of looks like a soda can. It's about the size, like a foam thing. You shoot it, and launches out, and you use it to train a dog to retrieve a bird. And the gun takes like a 22 cartridge, so it actually shoots. So we were fucking around with this thing inside the shop, and everyone shot it. And then he was like, oh, shoot, let's shoot the fucking... He has one of those bully bob things that you, like, punch or whatever. The realistic punching bags. He's like, shoot that thing. So I was like, okay. So I shoot this thing. No ear protection. Shoot it. Ears start ringing, of course.
All of us did.
Yeah, everyone's had that. But for some reason, like, it just hit me the right way when that happened. And I knew probably like 2 minutes after that something was like worse than normal, because it, like, with loud sounds like people talking and stuff, my left ear was like crackling more than just the ringing. And everyone's had the ringing, whether it's like after a concert and you get into bed and it's like doo the whole time. Mm-hmm. It's called tinnitus. But most of the time it goes away like right away, or overnight, something like that. So we go to eat afterwards, and like on the ride there and in the restaurant, like the shit was just fucking crackling and everything like that. And I was like, whatever. So come home and didn't really think much of it. Next day was still ringing, still crackling. And for like that whole next week, it was still crackling, like until it was probably Thursday. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I would like keep whistling to test if it was crackling. And then I'd go louder, and it was still crackling, still crackling. The ringing wasn't bugging me that bad. It was just kind of annoying. I'm like, fuck, when's this going away? I start Googling shit. And then, I read some shit online that was like, sometimes it never goes away. I was like, what the fuck? And so I remember I went to go pick up shirts at Stitches, and then I was driving home, and that's when I got my first bit of like anxiety. And I've never been fucking anxious. I deal with stress pretty good. And driving home, and it hit me like, kind of like, oh shit. So my best friend Jake, he's a paramedic firefighter, so he knows a lot about medical shit, but his sister is a audiologist, I think, like some sort of ear doctor. So I hit him up, and I was like, hey, isn't Mary an ear doctor? And he's like, yeah, what's up? So I told him, and he was like, you need to go to urgent care and get on a med roll pack, they call it. It's like steroids. And I was like, okay. So I go there that night, and they put me on whatever he told me, the steroids. And then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And it just kind of worked out that way. Like, this is how the universe works out sometimes. I hadn't seen like Jake or his sister or his family for ever. And
how many
then
years? 5, 6 years?
No, I see him more than that, especially Jake. But Mary, his sister, probably at least 2 years or something. His mom and dad probably a year. And then it was like that next weekend, so 1 week from when I shot this gun, Mary was going to be in town. come over for dinner, like that type of thing. So went over to dinner. So I was able to like kind of reconnect with them during this. And that night I was like, okay, that was Saturday. And then the Sunday night is when shit started to really get bad. The ringing was like horrible. And then I had to go back to ER. And when I say horrible, the closest thing I could find on YouTube, if you type in 7,000 hertz sound, like HZ or whatever the abbreviation is, and then play that, and then at a volume that's like when you talk, that same decibel rate, like that's how loud the ringing was. And it wasn't exactly that tone, but pretty close to that tone, but all the time, 24/7, only in one ear, and I couldn't turn it off, and I couldn't like focus on anything else. So like Sunday night comes around, I had to go back to urgent care, and I was like freaking out, having like panic attacks, anxiety attacks about this shit.
Because you didn't know if it was going to ever go away.
Right. That's what was freaking me out, was like, oh shit, like, is this going to be it forever like this? And I was like, fuck, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do anything. And I go to... You
weren't working.
No, I was working that week.
Oh.
This was the first weekend where it wasn't that bad, and it like started to get worse towards the end of the week. Then that Thursday, Friday, it was like kind of bad. Saturday, I went and rode again at Adams, and then went to Jake's parents for dinner. And then Sunday is when it started to get real bad, where I was like freaking out about it, having panic attacks and shit. And then I went to urgent care again, and then they put me on an even stronger steroid. And they almost didn't let me in there because of like COVID and all this shit. And it was like, oh, you got to come back tomorrow or go to this location tomorrow because we're not doing any ear, nose, and throat shit. And I'm like, they told me at the other one on Thursday, which is true, to go to this one because you guys are the ones doing the ear, nose, and throat stuff. And the kid was like, fuck, like, yeah, we are. And so they saw me, and I was like doing not great in there. And the doctor, I was like, you know, what do I do? Because they was like, basically he was like, yeah, there's nothing we can do for it. He's like, you should see a specialist, but he's like, he told me to start praying basically. And
really?
Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, at that point, because he was like, it's explaining what it is. It's nerve damage, and there's nothing they can really do for it if the steroids don't help or whatever. And he was like, yeah, I don't know if you're spiritual or religious at all, but you should like start praying. Whoa. And he's like, you can join Facebook groups on like how to cope with it. And this is like totally adding to my anxiety about the whole situation. I'm like, fuck, this Asian doctor of Western medicine is telling me to start praying to solve this thing that I already think that I can't solve.
Right.
I'm like, oh fuck, like something's not right with this. So throughout this, I forgot to mention, probably, you know, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, I can't sleep at all because I have a fucking permanent alarm clock in my left ear. And it's so bad, like I would have like the fan on, didn't drown it out. The TV would have to be so loud to drown out the ringing that I couldn't then sleep.
Right.
With no sound.
Earmuffs on or no?
No, not at that point.
Oh.
No, and that's the thing too. Like you put earplugs in, and that almost makes it worse because then it's all you can hear is the ringing because it's coming from inside. And so at that point, I'm freaking out. Sabrina's over here basically like taking care of me. I'm pacing around the house. You guys both saw me probably like you've never seen me before. I've never acted like that before. On that like Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday, like this next week, things got really bad. Like I had to call Wes, my partner in the real estate business, and I was like, dude, like I can't work. Sabrina might have called him. I don't know if I could even call him because it was so bad that I couldn't stand still. I was like acting like a tweaker.
Right.
I was fucking pacing around the house. I was walking outside, pacing around the driveway. I was walking around the neighborhood. I couldn't stand in the kitchen to make my own breakfast. Like that's how fucking bad it was. And it was a weird deal because it's like you have this problem and it doesn't look like it or it doesn't seem like it, and I'm the only one that can hear this fucking noise. It's not like
it, obviously, because we knew you.
right, but I'm not like physically hurt. I'm not like paralyzed. You know, I'm not like nothing is physically wrong with me, and no one else can see what's wrong with you or hear what's wrong with you, and I can't like describe it to anyone.
Right.
But so, you know, Jake, my friend, has had this since he was born. So I was talking to him about it, and then obviously Mary is the ear doctor. I'm talking to her about it. His mom has horrible anxiety. I'm talking to her about that. They're like, no, you need to call an ENT. Tell them you have sudden loss of hearing, even if you don't, because then they'll get you in. Because I called an ENT Monday morning. Actually, it was a holiday that Monday, of course. So then Tuesday morning, I called right away, tried to get in there like, oh, the soonest we could see is June 23rd or some shit. It was like over a month away. I'm like, fuck. I called another one, and Mary was like, tell me you have sudden loss of hearing. Got me in like either that day or the next day. And went in there, basically the same answer. Like, they gave me a hearing test, and I had no loss of hearing, which was great. But the ringing was so bad. Just like, I can't, like you tell people about it, and even people that have tinnitus, you can't really tell how bad theirs is or how bad yours is comparatively because we can't hear each other's. And like I've told a lot of people about it, and everyone's like, oh yeah, I have that. But I'm like, no, you fucking don't. Not like I had it, at least for a while. Maybe how I have it now, you have it where it's bearable, but it wasn't even bearable at first. Like, it was so fucking loud, I could not do anything. I didn't work for a month, 1 month.
Right.
And then
you're always working, dude.
Yeah. So, yeah, that week, you know, I saw the ENT, nothing they can do about it. And then I saw two ENTs that week, nothing they can do about it. I'm reading about it online, which was a horrible mistake because they're the only people that have horrible experiences post about their shit online. So these are the guys that are like, yeah, I fucking had a gun go off next to my ear when I was 8 years old and it's still whistling like a train. I'm 56 now. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? And this is when it was at the worst, where like I said, I couldn't even fucking stand still for 10 seconds to make my own breakfast, let alone work. That's where my head was at. Like, fuck, dude, I'm not going to be able to work. Like, I'm going to be like basically disabled, even though I'm physically fit and mentally here. Like, well, how am I going to be able to do anything? And that's why I'm freaking out this whole time. So then,
not sleeping
still not sleeping. Yeah. So that throughout that whole week, I probably slept about like 4 hours in 5 days. And this was for like, 3 minutes at a time. And you wake up, and then I'd have panic attacks at night. I'm running downstairs. I'm fucking outside at 2 a.m. pacing around in the driveway and shit.
Fucking summer, bro.
I know, and that's all these things were going through my head. Like, what if it was fucking winter right now? I couldn't be out here like pacing around. I was basically sitting outside the whole time trying to get some more ambient noise going on to drown it out, like anything I could. And I was like, waking up at from my last 2-minute nap at 5:30 in the morning and going on a run next to the creek down here, try to drown it out with the running water noise and like heavy breathing and shit. And still the whole time, all you can hear is doo, super loud. So I was going through all this shit. And then that weekend, I can't remember the exact days here, but basically I had to go stay at Sabrina's house. Like, I couldn't even be here anymore. And I was doing a little bit, not even better over there, but I could go between like her bed and the couch and have the TV on, and just like it helped to move a little bit. Where here, if I woke up, like I couldn't come down here to sleep with the TV on hella loud, and I couldn't like have any motion. So I would just wake up and freak out.
Why?
Basically.
What do you mean?
It just like felt more comfortable there, being able to go back and forth between the couch and the, whatever.
Yeah.
I probably could have done that here, but it just was better.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, being over there.
Yeah, it made you feel better there.
Yeah. It was a little bit louder over there too, like at her apartments, walking around the apartments and the more traffic and shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was over there, and then let me think here. So yeah, I couldn't fucking sleep, and I like was freaking out, and we went to the ER. I'm trying to think. No. Okay, let me back up. So this was, I think, Saturday night. I was trying anything I could to sleep. We went to, a couple nights earlier, we went to the dispensary in Carson and tried to get some like sleep shit there. And I told the dude, I'm like, this cannot make me like any more anxious or anything that I already am. Like, only sleep, that's it. He's like, yeah, got you. Like, this is the stuff here. So that night I took like the dropper of whatever that was. Didn't fucking do anything for me. And then I also got like a chocolate bar edible thing. And then so the next night after that, I took like a little square of the chocolate bar thing at like 7 p.m. Didn't even feel it. That was at like 6 p.m. Several hours later, I do like one of the droppers again. Yeah, didn't feel it. I go to bed, and then I wake up.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. I wake up, in the middle of the night again after 15 times of already waking up. I take more of this stuff, and this was all like hours. I know with edibles, like, you're not supposed to do, you're not supposed to eat a piece and like 2 minutes later, like, fuck, I don't feel it, and eat more. Like, this was hours spread out, and I didn't feel it, anything.
That's crazy.
So I'm on the couch over there, and I wake up, and I turn over, and I felt like what was probably half exhaustion and half of the weed or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, no big deal. And I'm laying there. Of course, I can't go back to sleep. Permanent alarm clock. So I wake up, or I get up, and I'm like kind of lightheaded. I'm like, fuck. So I go into the bathroom there, and I like feel like I'm gonna fucking vomit / pass out / like, oh shit, something's not right. So, and that's like the last I remember right there. And that's the first time I've been, I guess, like, what was then unconscious a little bit after this. But so I'm like out of it, like passing out. I walk from her bathroom over to the other side of the apartment. No recollection of any of this. I fall face first on the floor, and I knock out my front tooth, and like straight across in half, pretty far up, and went through both sides of my lip. And then her and her roommate both heard me fall, and they're like, what the fuck is that? So then she wakes up, and I'm walking over to the other side of the apartment, back again, fall again, still don't remember any of this. And then I kind of am like laying there, and I come to. So luckily I was there and not here, or by myself or something like that. So then they get me like cleaned up and take me to the emergency room. And that's where this doctor, she said I'm the first person she's ever prescribed Valium to out of the ER, because I guess a lot of drug seekers go there to try to get it or whatever. I told her everything that was going on, just anything to try to get me to sleep, because they put me on some of that shit while I was there, and I slept for a couple hours.
Felt good.
Fuck yeah. That was the first time I slept like more than probably 30 minutes at a time throughout 2 weeks or so. And then she was like, if you still can't sleep on this stuff, tomorrow night you need to come back. So another night, same shit's going on, still freaking out. Take the Valium. Felt like nothing was even there. And I'm not about to fucking start taking, hell of that shit.
Right.
So took it, nothing's different. Have to go back to the ER. And then they shot me up IV, whatever it was. Then I turned into a real tweaker for a small, did I tell you about that? Maybe. A very short time. So they're like, yeah, you need to stay overnight. I'm like, okay. So they put me on some sort of IV, same stuff as Valium. And then they also put me on like some Benadryl or something. They're like, yeah, some of this, it makes you kind of antsy. So the Benadryl gets rid of that. I'm like, okay, cool. And of course I start to get hella antsy. And this was right in between when they were switching me from the ER room to the, like where I stayed, the other room. So I like couldn't fucking get any more Benadryl. But dude, I turned into an actual tweaker, and I didn't realize it for a couple of days after that. Like, this is, you see people like itching and shit and like can't stop moving. That's exactly what I was. Like, I was fucking itching, and like, I have IV on me, so I can't turn that much, but like I could not stop moving. If you could have paid me $1 million to lay still for 10 seconds, I could not have done it.
Wow.
I was like fucking itching and like moving around. I'm like, fuck. And And I'm just like, God damn. And they take me up to the other room, and I'm like, I was just saying weird shit. Like, I was like, come on, man. And the guy thought I was talking to him. And he's like, excuse me? Like, the nurse dude who was checking me in. I was like, no, like, not you. You know, usually I'm super polite to all the people there and shit. And then finally there was like 45 minutes of that. And then they got me with some other shit. And then I was like fucking out, and I slept for 12 hours straight. That was Sunday night into Monday. And then went to a different ENT after that. Same answer, like, you can't do anything about it. Like, here's some fucking over-the-counter shit that probably won't work for you, but try it anyway.
Yeah.
And, yeah, for those next, like, 2 weeks, it was just crazy. Couldn't sleep. I had no fucking tooth. I had to go to the fucking dentist, like, 3 times to get this fucking thing done. And they make a mold that goes over it, and that it's a temporary, because then they have to color match it, and the temporary lasts for like 2 days, popped off again. It's like, motherfucker. Jerky. Yeah, I was eating jerky, wasn't thinking, popped it off. I'm like, motherfucker. Had to go back, they glued it on again. They grind your tooth into this little nub, so it's like all fucked up. And yeah, it was just like a crazy thing, but it didn't last like just even those 2 weeks. Like, it's still ringing right now, and we're 5 months. In a couple days it'll be 5 months. It's still fucking ringing, it's still crackling, but now it's at least bearable, and I can like deal with it. It's definitely way less intense. I can get it to stop ringing sometimes, like after I sleep. I can sleep no problem. I still use a noise machine to sleep most of the time, but I'm trying to think if there's any other fucking important details here. I feel like I'm missing something after this, but for that, like I said, I couldn't work for like a month. And then
there's only one person to blame, dude.
Conway.
Right.
Exactly. I already tried to blame him. He's like, no, dude, I told you not to shoot it. I'm like, bullshit. You're the one that fucking put the thing in my hand and said, shoot that way.
He closed trying to hit the VP cam.
He did, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I wasn't going to shoot it. But, and I don't actually blame him. And everyone else that was there fucking shot the same thing inside the shop. But for
same angle, you weren't closer or nothing.
For some reason, it just reverberated and hit my ear right, and just totally sent me into this spiral. But thank God for just so many things fucking worked out like as good as they could have in that situation. Like, for that first week where it was really bad, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't stop moving. I was like fucking cleaning my car. I was cleaning Sabrina's car. Adam luckily was like slow with work that week. So like we went up to Tahoe one day. We went mountain biking one day. Like, it would have been a fucking awesome week off if I wasn't about to fucking die. And then like, luckily my partner Wes is like super about like self-care and health and shit. And he's just like, dude, don't worry about it. Like, we got it. Him and Steve. And they're like, take as long as you need. And like, you were here for Bad Touch. You guys were here to like hold down the house. The whole thing with Jake's parents and like his sister, and just like everything, as shitty as the situation was, like, it couldn't have been any better, I guess. The fact that it was summer and it was like nice weather, COVID. I could be, it was just like,
it wasn't a fucking, like, COVID helped too, because like, well, kind of. Some spots you maybe couldn't get in, but it just wasn't as hectic on the streets. It was in the stores and shit, like...
Yeah.
All that shit seemed to work out. I learned how to do more Bad Touch stuff, so... Yeah. It was good. It wasn't good, but, like...
Yeah, it's awesome.
Fuck. So.
Yeah, no, but it was, like... It's hard to explain to people without going through that whole story, because if I tell them, my ears are ringing, that's when everyone's like, oh, dude, I've had that shit for 5 years, and I'm like, maybe.
Someone's going to be like, dude, he dragged that story on so bad. It's not, I've had it. It's not even that bad.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's why it's fucking hard to compare, even with people that do have it, that know what it's like. You can't, maybe theirs is fucking way worse than mine, but it's hard to believe, really, because of how fucking loud it is.
And how crazy you were, like.
Yeah, you guys saw how fucking weird I was acting. Like, the steroids were fucking horrible.
They're bad for it.
Oh my God.
It worse.
Yeah. And my emotions, like, dude, I was already having these panic attacks, which I've never experienced in my life. And then I'm fucking crying, like freaking out crying.
Right.
And then I'm fucking crying because of how grateful I was, like, with what I was just talking about. Like, holy shit! Like what if Debbie wasn't here? Like Jake, Mary, like everyone's like just stepped up for me. I'm fucking crying about how awesome everyone is, and then I'm back to freaking out a minute later, and then I fucking pass out for 5 minutes, and then I'm back up, and dude, it was fucking wild.
Dude.
It's crazy.
It sounds like a fucking nightmare, but that's really what he was going through. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, and then there's nothing they can do about it. Like,
Better
literally
start
nothing.
praying. What a dick.
It wasn't like a dick, like saying like you're fucked. You better start praying, homie. But it was like, I was like asking him like, what do I do? Like, because he could clearly see that I was distraught and like didn't know how to cope. And then that's when he was like, prayer. But he was serious because he said that he had some sort of nerve disorder and he like worked through it. Through prayer. And that's why he was like, go on Facebook. But that was making it worse for me at the time because I was like, I couldn't accept that like my life would be like that because it was so bad. And I was on the roids and I was,
Dang,
everything.
You did weed, you did roids.
I was fucking on anything, dude.
You did Benadryl. You were, what's that one she prescribed to you?
Valium.
You could have made a couple G's flipping that shit.
I still could, dude. I have the shit that they prescribed because I didn't take any of it
Really?
Well, when I figured out it didn't work, like I took the Valium for one day.
That's
I had
it.
like Ambien. I was on Ambien. That shit put me out pretty good.
Yeah.
But that shit makes some people crazy too. It didn't really make me crazy, but it helped for sleep. I have this other shit they prescribed for the anxiety that I never really took because it, like, I'm almost scared to like take enough for it to work.
Right.
I'm like, take one. I'm like, nah, it didn't do shit. Fuck it. And I'm on to the next thing.
All right, we're calling it right now, dude. Anyone who orders gloves from badtouchsupply.com now in the next 30 days, we'll randomly put volume in there. You might get a pill.
That's legal.
You might get a pill, dude.
Hey, it might be legal with just distribution, but not like intent to sell. We're just distributing.
No, we just for some reason Alex put the pill. It wasn't even Alex. I think it was someone else who put the pills right above the shipping station, and they just
fell right in.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah. But it was like definitely the craziest shit I've ever been through, like the hardest shit I've ever been through. Mm-hmm. But I always try to take like the good with whatever you're doing. Right. And like because of that, so like there's nothing they can do about it. And then so all I was taking and still am is like these pills you fucking get at Walmart that are supposed to be for ear ringing. They're like vitamins. That's it.
Right.
Eardrops that are the same thing. I'm on this like super expensive fucking deer antler extract shit that they have used in Chinese medicine for like 1,000 years. And it, I'm reading about it and it's supposed to be good for nerve regeneration and shit. I'm on that morning and night. And then like just trying to do other things that are natural to promote blood flow. That's why I'm doing like the hot cold, the sauna and ice bath twice a day, every day. And like massage all over the ear and shit and just trying to protect it. I wear, kind of ironic, I wear around these fucking shooting muffs now that would have saved me. And now they like help me, when it starts ringing bad, I'll like put them on and it's annoying at first because it's all you can hear. But then after a while, it like kind of calms it down to where I can take them off and I don't really notice the ringing.
I have a song for you since now everyone knows.
Yeah.
Tinnitus. ER. Benadryl.
Prayer.
That's it, dude. That's the theme song.
Thank you.
You're welcome, bro. You're stronger now.
That's right.
That's so cool.
It is cool.
No, it's cool that you're stronger. I'm not kidding.
I am. Yeah. No, I really am.
So now, and you never know. Someone might get this and listen to it, and then you might get hit up like, "Yo, like, I got the same fucking thing right now."
Yeah.
Thank you,
I want to like write about it somehow. Like
write a book.
No, it's not like book worthy, like because it's not that long, but like several pages in detail. Like I would have to really, there's there's so many fucking details and like the timelines. I would really have to think about it on what exactly happened, but because I could write about it step by step, but I don't know where to put it. That was my first thought when I was like, after I fucking get through this and I'm back to 100% and I feel good again, like I'm gonna write about it because that needs to be out there, because the only shit when you fucking Google tinnitus, or like however many people paused this and actually typed in 7K hertz on YouTube, go through the comments on there. Everyone is like all this shit about how they have tinnitus because that's the people that are listening to this sound.
Right.
And dude, it's fucking scary when you're reading the comments and you have that in your head and all these people are like, I would give anything to have silence. And this is new for you. You know, you've been able to have sit in silence before, and now you can't. And you just have this constant loud alarm clock, and you're reading all these comments that's like, if I could just hear silence one more time, I'd be happy. And there's like 1.2K likes on this comment. You're like, oh fuck, this is a real thing, and this might never get better.
Damn.
And there's nothing they can do about it.
Would you say you're 100%?
No, no.
Over
It still
50?
rings all the time right now.
Over 50?
Yeah. Compared to where I was, it's night and day.
Yeah.
But it's still like, I'm an idiot and I didn't wear muffs, and when I was out pressure washing today, that's the first time I went back into the garage and it was like back to where it was. I'm like, fuck, dude, you're stupid. But it was in both ears, but I'm like super careful about the hearing thing now. And
That's good.
yeah, it was just like months of trial and error on what worked and what didn't to try to get it better, you know. But it was so, at the beginning, I would have to have the radio on and the air turned up all the way to not hear the ringing
While you drive?
while I drive. Now, as long as I'm driving, I can drive in silence, and just the road noise of the car silences the ringing.
yeah,
It's like, that's how much different it is.
You're better.
But at first, if I just turned the AC down one notch from to just a little bit less of that, I could hear the ringing. That's how fucking loud it was.
Wow.
Yeah. So no, it's not 100% better, but it's bearable, and I can at least, you know, drown it out when I need to. Mm-hmm. But that's why I was saying it was months of like trying to figure out what helped it and what made it worse. But it was so bad 100% of the time, no matter what I did, it didn't fucking change it. And then one day I had to drive out to Fernley, and I had an earplug in, and it was so bad, like I couldn't fucking, like I said, especially if you have one earplug in, like I had, that like fucks with your equilibrium and shit. Yeah. Horrible. Even if you don't have tinnitus, it just feels awkward. So I had that plus the ringing the whole time. But I was like, just try it this whole time while you drive. And then that night or the next morning, I noticed it was like a little bit better. And that's when I started like wearing earplugs all the time after that. Because I was like, maybe it just needs to rest a lot. And that's what helped at first once I figured that out. But that was fucking 2 or 3 months into ringing horribly the whole time until I figured out that one little step that started to get it better.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So that's where I've been, and like literally, even if I wanted to, there's no way I could have sat here and like talked to you guys or anything for the podcast.